Hey, music fans. Just a quick note before we jump into this week's episode. Literally the day after we recorded our next two shows, this week's and next week's, which is all about the music of 1985, the news broke about Ozzy Osbourne's passing. Now, this is a huge loss in the music world and particularly in the metal community, and I didn't want that to go unmentioned. He didn't have any albums that were released in 1985, so he doesn't get a mention in these next two episodes. But I wanted to make sure, and we got this message out before this episode starts. We do have a special show planned in a couple of weeks where we're going to be talking all about Ozzy, his career, his legacy, his impact, and we have a special guest lined up for that. But I wanted to make sure and get a mention in this week's show, since it's such a recent event, and let you know that we do have something planned coming up. And obviously, we extend our heartfelt condolences and sorrow to his family, his friends, and his fans. And now let's roll on into the beginning of 1985. Enjoy.
You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hey, all you music lovers. Welcome back to Modern Musicology. My name is Alan, and we've got Stephanie Seymour.
Hello, everyone.
Anthony Williams.
What's up?
And Rob Levy.
Let's get down to it, boppers.
If you listen to our last episode, where we did a big show all about Live Aid, which happened in 1985, we told you that the next two episodes were going to be all about the music of the year 1985. So happy 40th anniversary, everybody, to all the albums that we're going to be talking about tonight. So to get us started, Anthony, why don't you give us a little rundown of what 1985 was looking like at the time?
All right. So let me set the scene here. The Cold War is still raging.
Yes.
But unbeknownst to many, including the key players here, the end is in sight. In March, Mikhail Gorbachev becomes General Secretary of the Soviet Communist Party and thus de facto leader of the Soviet Union. And of course, within a few years, he would preside over the dissolution of the Soviet Union. By April of 1985, the Soviet Union began to pull out of the Soviet-Afghan War, transferring the burden of fighting against the Mujahideen to the armed forces of the Democratic Republic of Afghanistan. And we kind of all know how that went. Not good. But as that epoch in our history is ramping down, the beginning of another that will have long-lasting impacts is starting. And that's as the ideology of Hezbollah is declared in Lebanon. And that's still kind of going on today. This occurs as Israel begins withdrawing troops from that very same country. Strife continues in Lebanon with car bombings, an ongoing hostage crisis, and a TWA flight from Athens to Rome being hijacked by Hezbollah militants. Throughout the year, Israel also continues its offensive against the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And of course, in 2025, this is indeed proof that history is indeed cyclical. In domestic news in 1985, Coca-Cola changed its formula in April of that year, releasing New Coke to extremely negative reaction.
Oh, I remember that.
New Coke.
The original formula is back on the market in less than 3 months. Incidentally, with Stranger Things, about 5 years ago, they re-released New Coke. It tastes strangely like Pepsi.
Yes, it did. That's why
if I want to buy Pepsi, I will buy Pepsi.
Right, exactly.
Beyond that, Britain sees a bizarre number of football-related disasters. There was a fire breaking out at Bradford City Stadium, killing 56 people. In Europe, a riot breaks out during a European Cup final between English team Liverpool and Italian team Juventus at the Heysel Stadium in Brussels, resulting in the death of 39 spectators. And then in other news, the Australian soap Neighbours premieres in March. Still going on today. Live Aid concerts occur during July. And the wreck of the Titanic is discovered or located in September. And then finally, the Nintendo Entertainment System is released in the US in October.
Ooh,
and that's our history from 1985.
Nice.
Outside of music.
Outside of music, yeah. So we always have a lot to talk about when we do our 80s revisits. So we're going to, like we did last year, we're going to split this up into 2 shows, and we're going to cover January through June in this episode. So we're going to be talking about the albums that were released the first half of that year. So who's got something great that they want to start us off with?
I'll start us off with a big, huge voice. How about that? Mine.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
No. One of the best singers of all time, I think, Whitney Houston, who released her debut album on Valentine's Day of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, Alan, you asked us if we would all give you a favorite song from each album we name. So I'm just going to tell you that my favorite because you're going to make a Spotify playlist, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So my favorite song on this is How Will I Know? And I have a very good story about this really quick, which I think I told this before, but let's just remember like what an absolute bombshell this album was for a debut. I mean, it started off kind of slower in 85, but by 86, it was a huge smash. I mean, she had like 3 #1 singles with this, and it was one, and now it is one of the best selling albums of all time. It's sold like 25 million or over that. So huge. But I will tell you my How Will I Know story. I was, I'll tell this really quick, but I was at Palladium with some friends, and we all dropped mescaline, which was great, except that it seemed like it was actually, Alan's like shaking his head.
Stephanie, have I told you I fucking love you?
I love you too. So this mescaline was actually very weird, and it seemed like it was probably more like LSD because I was actually looking at the walls and it seemed like knives were coming out of the walls. So all of our friends who were totally high as a kite decided we needed to get out of the Palladium. And we walked from 14th Street all the way up to 49th Street to my friend Jody's house. And we all felt a lot better by the time we got there, but we all were lying on the floor, and one by one, they all sort of fell asleep around me. And all of a sudden on the TV, I just see these flashing lights, and it's MTV playing. And I look up, and there's this beautiful singer singing this really catchy song, and the whole thing just looks like bubblegum to me because there's so much color in the How Will I Know video. And that is like that is the first time I ever saw Whitney Houston, and I was still high as a kite on meth. And it was amazing to see that.
Well, I hope when people listen to the playlist that we put out, they don't experience that well, maybe they want to. I don't know.
Yeah.
So when you hear How Will I Know?
Just think mescaline.
See all the colors.
Yeah.
Stephanie, if you weren't already married, I would be proposing to you after that story.
I accept.
So,
Wow, I have to fight Bob, you have to fight Christina. Let's go.
Right.
so my drug related story, which I didn't want to lead with because I thought it would have drugs in it. It would be a bad precedent. So 1985 is the year Hoodoo released 2 records.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, New Day Rising, has still one of my favorite songs, Books About UFOs, on it. This album ushered in the sort of whole Minneapolis thing, right? But I first heard it, I was at a party in Illinois with some friends, basically across the river. And there's a big steel mill where they were, and we were all sitting on lawn chairs. And there's, at the time, when I was 17, the kids used to take this thing called Rush. Do you guys know what this is?
Yeah, it's a prog band.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I was going to say Neil Peart.
No, you would inhale amyl nitrate.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
Wade sang about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that, and we're listening to Hoodoo, this album, and I'm like, this thing's really fast. This is really different than any of the other stuff that that I've sort of heard. It's not really punk, but it's not really, there's also like How to Skin a Cat. And I remember like, why is this guy writing a song about skinning a cat? Right. And I just remember it being really fast. And then I remember the next morning we played it again. And I'm like, this record sounds just as fast as it did before. Is this a lingering effect or not? And so that was my first and very brief foray into that for a couple months. But yeah, that's my first one. And
We're
then
totally on drugs
February
here.
Yeah, and then February, since you're in February, I went to like the worst high school ever, and I was like the first quote punk new wave kid there, so it was loads of fun because the Christian Brothers do not like nonconformity.
Oh man.
I was listening to Meat is Murder by the Smiths, and now this is before Morrissey became a fascist. Let's just start that way.
Kyle Morrissey.
But Rush Home Ruffians and the Headmaster's Ritual were great. But Headmaster's Ritual really fit in with me going to a private school at the time, a Catholic school. And I was like, oh, this record speaks to my hatred of like religious patriarchal authority. This is awesome. And then the Smiths sort of opened a bunch of other doors with other things as well. But that's
nice.
Neither here nor there.
I don't have any drug stories.
That's okay.
I'm so boring.
What's your favorite music from 1985, Alan?
Well, I have a funny story, so I'll tell a funny story.
Okay.
It's not drug related though, and it relates to the Hooters put out their first album. They had an EP before, but this is their first major label record, and it's a great album. And it was sort of like introduced to me by my best friend at the time, Carrie Christopher. Carrie, if you're listening, hi. Haven't talked to you in 100 years, but I still think about you all the time, especially when I listen to the Hooters. My funny story is that years after this, so this came out in 85, obviously, around about 2000, I guess it was, I was with some friends at a restaurant, and it was like a pizza joint, and we're just kind of sitting there waiting for our server to come over and listening to the music on the overhead. Day by Day, I believe it was, started playing. And I proclaimed quite loudly, "Awesome Hooters!" right as a waitress was walking by our table. And my friends were shocked that I would say something so crass about our lovely waitress who comes strutting by, and I proclaimed that her Hooters are awesome.
That's
Alan, everything I've known about you really indicates how sleazy you are on that kind of thing. How dare you?
Right. My friends were like, "What are you doing?"
Awesome Hooters.
I'm like, it's the song playing on the overhead.
Sure.
My Hooters story is a little less
lewd.
No, it's lewd.
Oh.
I saw them that year. Actually, they played in
the Hooters.
They played in this bar in St. Louis called Mississippi Nights, and they played at this place called the Muni. So we went to go see them at the Muni because they were the opening band, and then we went across town to go see the Dead Milkmen. We'll talk about them later. And the Dead Milkmen are playing, and both bands are from Philly. And I'm standing at the back, and I'm standing next to Rob. The guy that wrote Time After Time. I'm standing next to him. And I'm like, oh, God, I'm standing next to the guy from the Hooters. But I just let him be because I didn't want to bother him, right? And he was standing in the under 21 section just because I think he could hide there, him and the guitarist, right? And so the Dead Milkmen are playing. And they at the end of their song, they tell everyone, hey, everybody, we're from Philadelphia. There's another band from Philadelphia here. They're called the Hooters. And they turn the spotlight on them, and they're like taking bows and stuff. He's like, we have a song for them. And then they started playing this improvisational song called The Hooters Blow. And they started listing off all the things that they hated about the Hooters. And they started, I don't know if you know this, Alan, but the Hooters are sort of kind of a Christian rock band at the time. And they started like telling, there's no Jesus. Everyone tell the Hooters there's no Jesus. And it was just, I'm standing next to this guy, and it was so awkward. Like, I'm like, why? This is just wrong. But that record is fantastic, and that's my Hooters story.
It's such a great album. And they get their reputation for having been a Christian-ish band from the song All
Not
You
fair.
Zombies, which is a great, great, great song. And
That's
that was the
my
first one
favorite
that I
one
heard on the radio, and it just caught my ear, and I really loved it. But the whole album is great. Nervous Night, Hanging on a Heartbeat, Blood from a Stone. It's just fantastic records.
And We Dance too is on that.
Yeah.
which is like really catchy, which was
Yeah.
really smart releasing that after All You Zombies, because it's completely a different. That was a really versatile band, and they were fantastic.
I've loved everything they've ever done.
All right, I got one. And I was
All right.
originally planning on going chronological for this year, but I've kind of just divided it into first half and second half. And for January to June, the one I really want to talk about, and some of you are going to go, God, it's Anthony. Fuck you. This is so obvious. Misplaced Childhood. Marillion. Yeah. And here's the thing. It's a concept album. It's 2 sides. It's side 1 and it's side 2. And everything within that album is ancillary beyond that. I was -2 when this album came out.
-2.
Sorry. Yeah, I wasn't alive yet. I was a gleam in my father's eye.
Barely.
Technically inside my mother. But this album's fantastic. I really need to find out if my mother ever listened to this and if it was kind of implanted there in the womb. Because everything about it, Marillion have tried to distill certain tracks into a distillation of this album, and it never quite works because the whole thing really works as a full unit. Everything from Pseudo Silk Kimono into Kaylee, Lavender, Bittersweet, Heart of Lothian, Waterhole, Lords of the Backstage, Blind Curve, Charles's Hand, and White Feather. It's just one of the most outstanding prog albums you will ever hear. And no matter how much I tried to break it out into individual tracks, individual pieces, even trying to break it out into 3 or 4 tracks on its own doesn't quite work. And they have tried in live performances recently. They have tried to do Kaylee into Lavender into Heart of Lothian. Doesn't quite work. Blind Curve into Childhood's End. Doesn't quite work. Lords of the Backstage into Blind Curve. No. It needs to function as a 41 and a bit minute piece. It is a true concept album.
Mm-hmm. I have an album on here for the part 2.
Fucking
that's sort
good.
of like one of
So you're going to
that.
say that I have to include the entire thing on the Spotify playlist. Is that right?
No. So the one thing I really dislike about Spotify, I wish Spotify could tie tracks together.
I agree with that.
Because in this, I would tie, if I wanted a couple of tracks that were emblematic of this album, I would have 2 choices. One would be Kaylee, Lavender, Heart of Lothian. And there's a track missing in between them, and I know that, and fight me. The other one would be Lords of the Backstage, followed by Blind Curve. And they've done both of those suites live, and they are phenomenal. Blind Curve hits hard. If you've ever been in a bad relationship, the moment that drops, and you get into that point where Fish sings, Last Night You Said I Was Cold, Untouchable. Oof. It hits hard. This album, you can pass out a couple of suites from it, but it works best as a full album. And when they started playing it live, Fish said there are 2 tracks we're about to play. There's side 1 and there's side 2.
Yep.
I genuinely consider this among the greatest concept albums of all time.
Nice.
And Alan, I'm going to say Kaylee, Lavender, Heart of Lothian. That's what should be on the playlist.
All right.
All right, let's switch. Let's go 180 and talk. I know, Rob, you're going to want to talk about this with me. Okay. Maybe all of you will. Well, I don't know, Anthony, because you might not love Paul Young, but we do. Yeah, he had his second album out called The Secret of Association. That came out March 25th. And for the record, Alan, Everything Must Change is my favorite song. But Rob, what's yours?
Oh man, that's good. And then that doesn't have everyone. No, that doesn't
Every time
have,
you go away, yeah.
That's on it, but I thought, is that the one that's got that doesn't have Love of the Common People on it?
No, that's the first album.
And then that's No Parlay, and that doesn't have the Joy Division cover.
Right.
I think I still like Come Back and Stay.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that I actually did see them for the No Parlay tour. I didn't see him for this tour, but it was like being in a small crowd of Beatles fans, like girls screaming for him and fainting. I swear it was like he was like a true like pop rock idol, and he really did look the part too. I mean, we were talking about his Live Aid performance and how it was like so powerful because he's got such a great voice. But I really always was enthralled with his backup singers, Maz and Kim. They had such style, and they were really, really cool. They had a certain sound together, those two, and they really blended with his voice very well. So anyway, they're all over that album.
I do remember Everything Must Change, and I remember Soldiers Things, which I later learned was a Tom Waits song.
Yes.
And he also did, because I've got, what's weird, I've got a British pressing of this.
Oh, okay.
And it's got Man in the Iron Mask on it, which is a Billy Bragg cover.
Yes.
Which I remember him doing live, because when I saw Paul Young, he played at a shopping mall. Kids Ask Your Parents. And he played for 30 minutes in a mall, and then he signed stuff at the Music Land.
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely a thing, playing the malls,
But I just remember too being very impressionable too. It's like, okay, he's got the cool, I thought him and Charlie Sexton had the cool two coolest haircuts of like those middle years, right?
Yeah.
He's got like the really cool hair, and he's got like the white t-shirt and the leather jacket, he's got the whole like, look at me, I'm slick thing going on.
Plus he was like 6'2" or 6. I mean, he's tall. He's like, a presence on stage.
I didn't realize he was tall until he was you saw some of his concerts, and he had a video cassette that came out right out. He was one of the first artists in the 80s to put out a video cassette of like him playing every song on the album live.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I remember when I saw him performing Hot Fun, I'm like, is he that tall, or are his singers that short? I just remember that. But I just loved his voice, and everybody I knew at that time. There was a battle in the boom boxes of suburban St. Louis, because everybody at the time was trying to jam out to, that later in that year when it came out, everyone was jamming out to Boy in the Box by Corey Hart. And I was like, no, Paul Young's better. So there was this huge fight about who was better, Paul Young or Corey Hart. And I'm like, well, first of all, Paul Young has real hair. It's not spiky. Yeah. So that's that was one of the things I remember, is this ongoing feud about who was better, Paul Young or Corey Hart. And I remember that, he literally for like, I think 2 or 3 months was everywhere.
Yeah.
Longer than that, yeah. MTV was all over that video.
Oh yeah,
that was a really good video, though.
It was a good video.
That was so well edited,
and it was also like MTV was like, oh, this is a white guy singing black music. We could totally use this, right? And that was kind of like a thing. It's like he did so many covers, like an album that's like that deep with covers. Is pretty incredible.
Well, if you want to know who is better between the two people that you mentioned, and since you brought him up, and since you mentioned hair, I'm going to tell you who wins that battle, and that is Charlie Sexton.
Oh yeah, because Charlie Sexton still has great hair.
Yes, and
he's got like the cool stripe thing going on in it. Charlie, he's got fantastic hair.
But people have heard who listen to this show have heard me talk about Charlie Sexton before, so this is not news or anything. Yeah. But his first album is so perfect. I love every track on it, and he's just got that really great voice. It's got sort of like that husky, when everybody that you hear is either a soprano if they're a woman, or a tenor if they're a guy. He's got this huskier sort of like mid-range, lower voice, and it's just the coolest dude. And he's a great guitar player. And so every song on that album, of course, the big hit from it was Beat So Lonely, which when I still hear it on the radio now, I get so excited and I sing along with it. The one that I think that people should really listen to is the first track on the album called Impressed. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
But he's the dude. He is the dude of 1985.
And I left that for you because I knew how much he loved Church. And that was the first free concert I ever went to. He played a show at Mississippi Nights. It was him and like 2 other artists, and it was like free.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's amazing. And I went out and bought the cassette. Zeph, what else you got?
Oh, okay.
On Paul Young.
I will do another.
Paul Young.
Paul Young. No, that's all I got.
Okay.
Just that I love him.
Okay. Kind of piggybacking off of Hair and Paul Young, Howard Jones' Dream into Action came out in 85.
Yeah.
Similar.
And
Hair,
Things Can Only Get Better came out. And I remember being an impressionable little bastard. And that's the first time I remember a musician like championing vegetarianism like so fervently. And I still eat meat. Sorry, Howard. But I just remember like, wow, at this time when everyone else is talking about the bombs dropping and corporate greed and all this stuff, he's talking about like not eating animals. And I just thought that was really kind of weird.
But so was Morrissey.
Meat
It's just
is
that
murder,
Howard Jones wasn't a dick about it.
I was going to say, I still eat meat.
Well,
Not sorry, Morrissey.
But I wasn't. But the thing is, when you listen to Meat is Murder, you pretty much hear Meat is Murder at the end about the animals. It's not most of the record. And
the more I hear it, the less I care.
But I also didn't really read a lot of interviews with Morrissey because I could just pretty much tell, even at my impressionable young age, that if I read interviews with this guy, I'm like, I just remember looking at him going, this guy's a pompous fuck. If I try to read any of his interviews, I'm not going to like this band anymore. So that is why I never really read interviews with the Smiths when I was younger.
Rob, were you ever young?
Yes.
Yeah, when he was hanging out at the juice bar.
Yeah.
Man, 1985 was like the seminal year of music for me. That's the year we first started all going to Animal House, which is what it was called. And so many of these records, I'm like, Jesus, this came out in 85. I literally know where I was when all these records came out.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the year that really...
I know where I was. I was a glint in my father's eye.
Oh,
the other fun thing about 1985, and this can knock a couple out, is that like the years leading up to this, the second British invasion has come, and we had 82 and 83, where it was really like Brit band after Brit band after Brit band. 85 is when the Aussies are coming. Like they're coming for your children. Right? Yeah. Because for me, it began with Hoodoo Gurus that year with Mars Needs Guitars.
I saw that on
and I just remember, okay, I don't know who this band is, but I love the name and I love the album title. And this is one of the first records I bought sight unseen just because I love the title of the record. And I ended up loving it a lot. Poison Pen is great. Death Defying is great as well. But I remember this came out. I think there's a Men at Work album that kind of did okay that year. And then Midnight Oil came out. And then In Excess, the very precursor of In Excess getting big is Listen Like Thieves, right? You can tell this is a band that's going to break. So the Aussies are coming for your children. And then you have an amazing band from Australia that sadly just completely crapped out later by doing a cover of the Locomotion. Oh no, Funky Town. And that's that's Pseudo Echo. That first Pseudo Echo record with Beat for You and Listening on it is fantastic.
I have an obvious album I really want to talk about, and that is Tears for Fears.
Yes.
With songs from The Big Chair.
Oh my God. That is such a masterpiece.
If you are a regular listener of this podcast, take a drink, because Stephen Wilson has remixed this album for 5.1 for Atmos, and it's incredible.
Wow.
I mean, if Stephen Wilson touches it, it's going to be good.
True.
He's a big Tears for Fears fan, and this album, I mean, if we're going to put something on the playlist, let's put on the 25-minute blowout version of Shout, please, Alan. Thank you.
25 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
a 10-minute remix of it. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Or put Head Over Heels. How about it?
Or
I mean, everybody wants to. Well, this is one of those albums where there were 6 singles from an 8-track album.
I know, it's bananas.
I think that tells you how good this album was.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is it did way better in America than it did in Britain.
Yes, and that is deeply, deeply surprising. As I look back on it, as a kid growing up, when I thought about the new wave, the synth pop bands, Tears for Fears were not one that came up.
Yeah.
We thought Eurythmics, we thought Soft Cell, we thought New Order. And it wasn't until that fucking cover of Mad World.
Oh
That
my
anyone
God.
my age even thought of Tears for Fears. And that was how I started down this enormous rabbit hole into their discography.
Do you
Wow,
remember? Didn't they? I mean, Shout wasn't big there. No, I mean, I can't. This is such a British sounding album to me. That's what's so weird.
Yeah.
Well, here's
yeah.
the thing, Steph. I was born in '87,
Yeah,
so I was -2 when this came out.
He was a glint in his father's
yeah.
eye.
I guess I just
was.
feel like Shout is still a staple on the radio. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Oh, 100% now. I remember about, I don't know, what is this, 25, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, being in an Uber, and the full blowout version of Shout was on. And my girlfriend at the time and I were coming back from dinner, and I was just vibing to this immense remix of Shout. It was awesome.
Yeah, the couple things that I remember about it too were, to me, The Hurting is one of the seminal works of Cold War, early 80s pop. It's perfect, right? And then they followed up with this, right? Which is,
yeah.
And that's because Lillywhite just left him alone, let him make the record he wanted, and then he came back in and just tweaked it, which is great. But like, I remember too, as amazing as Shout was the first time I heard it, the video for it was really cool, where they're drumming on the floor and they're coming across, and I just thought that was really cool. I remember, Steph, we had a conversation once when we were talking about you drumming for the Aquaman. As I said, are you drum across the floor like the guy in Tears for Fears? And you said it doesn't really work that way. I remember that conversation, but I remember hearing Shout everywhere.
Yeah.
And I remember that literally like late summer through like the next winter, every film I saw had Everybody Wants to Rule the World in it, right? It's in like Real Genius. It's in like 6 or 7 other movies that it's in at the time. So they were really on board with their label, with Polygram, with getting placed in soundtracks. They were everywhere. And that record was great. And it was interesting too, because like everything took off with Everybody Wants to Rule the World and Shout. And then, oh yeah, there's Head Over Heels. And it's just like,
yeah,
this is great too. And it was just like, man.
Don't you think this is like really almost a little more psychedelic sounding than the first record? The first record sounds
100%.
100%. And this is such a precursor, I think, for Sowing the Seed of Love.
It's like a different band.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's the fact that you have Everybody Wants to Rule the World being covered years later by Lorde and prepare to laugh, Ninja Sex Party.
Yep.
Like, the fact these various bands are continuing to cover this talks to the longevity of this album and the creativity of Roland and
Kurt.
and Kurt so many years later.
Yeah.
And they were so underappreciated at the time. Like, growing up, none of my contemporaries knew them until Mad World and that cover hit.
Who covered?
And then
sorry,
suddenly
who covered
everyone.
Mad World?
It's from Donnie Darko.
Yeah, Gary Jules.
Slow,
like
slow acoustic kind of thing. And it's so amazing.
Oh, I've heard that. Okay, yeah. Slow.
Yeah.
I actually hate that cover.
What?
Yeah,
it's been overplayed so much that it's like I can't listen to it anymore.
I actually really like the slightly more upbeat nature of the original versus.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
but the cover is amazing. Fight me.
But the fact that people went back and re-listened to their works and reacquainted themselves with what they did, amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I love too is that you get all the hits on that record, and then you get the working hour, which is like amazing.
My 2 favorite songs on the album are The Working Hour and Broken. Working Hour is phenomenal. Oh, so good.
Yeah,
and then the last track too, Listen, which is so weird. It's almost an instrumental, and the vocals are almost like ghostly and undermixed. It's wonderful.
It's a really awesome album.
It really is.
Anthony.
You say that like you're giving me a hard time, but you're telling me it was a good pick.
Oh, great pick.
No, I'm
It's
saying
amazing.
You son of a bitch. That was a great pick. Fuck you.
Love horror? So do we. Welcome to Earth Station Boo, the podcast made by horrorholics for horrorholics.
From cult classics to the latest scream-worthy hits, we dig deep into horror movies, TV, books, and beyond.
We've got chills, thrills, and plenty of hot takes. So grab your garlic, sharpen your steak, and
Earth Station Boo, where horror isn't just a genre, it's a way of life.
We know you're dying to listen. Let's get spooky.
Well, you mentioned Anthony Eurythmics in one of your. Actually, it was for this album you just mentioned, but I want to bring up that the Be Yourself Tonight album, which is actually my favorite Eurythmics album. I have to say,
we're still a couple of years away from me being able to talk about my favorite one.
Okay. I mean, this was a huge album for them. There was a bunch of singles. My favorite is "There Must Be an Angel." I love that song so much. I do too. I think the groove on my record is just worn out. I would sing it over and over and over, just putting the needle back. But holy hell, I mean, there's so many great songs on this album. And I love the duet with Aretha. Sisters are doing it for themselves. Oh, so good.
Yeah. Would I Lie to You is really good too.
Would I Lie to You is fantastic. The one with Elvis Costello does a duet with her on this. What is it called?
Adrian.
Adrian, yep.
Yeah.
I also really dig "It's All Right, Baby, Come in back," and I love "Conditioned Soul." Oh, that's such a great song.
Yeah, this is great.
But you're right. "There Must Be an Angel," absolute favorite.
I think that, and also like it's almost a tie with "I Love You Like a Ball and Chain." That's really wow. There's this every single song on this album.
Played at my wedding.
"Lost in Love." My goodness. You played it at your
wedding? You played Ball and Chain at your wedding?
Wasn't my choice.
Oh, you're the ball and chain, Rob. Okay, that's unusual.
No, the DJ just played it, and we just started laughing. It was great.
You know that there was actually no tour for this album though, because she had a vocal surgery. She had like a nodule. Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah,
because
that's
she
right.
would have been sick this whole album for a tour.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, I'm going to take it into the decline of Western civilization. And
fuck.
This is the beginning of the end because it's the rise of Stock, Aitken, and fucking Waterman.
No.
Hey.
But bear in mind, I'm 17. Go to a juice bar called the Animal House every week. The guy plays videos and people dance to him, and everybody's really impressionable, right? Literally, everybody that I went to this bar with, they literally like shut themselves whenever Dead or Alive got played, right? I mean, you have Lover Come Back to Me, My Heart Goes Bang Bang, In Too Deep, and You Spin Me Around. 4 really pop disco records that the kids all love. And I will say this, like, there are a lot of people I know today that really felt comfortable with their sexuality because of this record. And I just, at the time, I'm like, I don't care if the dude's wearing a dress and an eye patch. It's just, it's really painfully, it's really painfully catchy.
Yeah.
It is like irritatingly catchy, right? But like there is something.
It was irritating, all right.
It was irritating.
There is something about You Spin Me Round that when it came out was like great. And if the people never discovered it and it got locked in a time capsule, that would be great. But when this record came out, I think I had 2 or 3 copies of the cassettes just because people kept playing it in their cars and when we were driving around or whatever. This thing was everywhere. And it's by no means, a masterpiece, but it's also important because this record eventually leads Stock Aitken and Waterman to do things with Bananarama and changes their career forever and just makes a ton of records that all kind of sound like this.
Yeah, Rick Astley and everything.
It also really sort of like reaffirms that like going to clubs and dance music is going mainstream briefly. It took everything that was going on with synth pop and put it on steroids. And it also, from talking to a couple of my gay friends who were around at the time, they're like, this is the time when you start hearing more and more openly out records in clubs, which I had no idea at the time that any of this was any of that. I just thought it was a record, right? I didn't care.
I will fight anyone who disparages You Spin Me Round.
I guess we're fighting, Anthony.
We are, Alan.
That 12-inch, though.
I thought you and I were friends, Alan.
You need to put that 10-minute remix on the Spotify, the 10-minute remix of it. That thing is like, The
This
remix.
is our Spotify is just going to be 10-minute remixes. We've got
Exactly.
Shout, now we've got You Spin Me Round.
Right.
But it's perfect though. Listen to that thing. It's great.
No.
I do have to say, Lover Come Back to Me is very catchy. And well,
Yeah.
it's all very catchy. And I didn't really love it though, but Lover Come Back to Me, I will tolerate.
Oh. Well, the videos made the whole record too, which is great. The thing is about You Spin Me Around Like a Record too, is that it really plays on everything that worked with Marauder records and Ital Disco records, and amplified it and spit it back out, and it totally works.
You can really trace the lineage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Long-term listeners of the show, take a shot.
Oh, no.
Because you can go Marauder, you can go Sparks.
Yeah.
There's your shot. And ultimately into Dead or Alive.
It's high energy. It's basically high energy meets Italian disco is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's even some Ken Laszlo in there somewhere.
Yes, there is.
Take another shot. All right. I feel the need to take us in a completely different direction.
Yes.
Okay.
Before Alan dies.
So I was born in 87.
Yes, we know.
Right.
When were you born, Anthony?
I know,
We're
right?
Not
When-
sure.
Were you a glint in your father's eye in this year?
I was certainly an egg in my mother.
Oh my God.
At the time that all of these women were apparently really digging on Dire Straits.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, Dire
Because
Straits.
all of my friends whose moms were born in 58 and were listening to music in 85 were listening to Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were all 27 years old and listening to that fucking album.
I got to tell you though, man, I wore the shit out of my cassette just by playing that
Yeah.
intro to Money for Nothing.
Well, I mean, if you are able to call on Sting to do your
Oh, that's right, you
fucking
love it.
backing vocals, holy shit. You know you at the top of your power in 1985.
And it was all over MTV. That thing was
Oh my
all
God.
over
Oh,
MTV.
it was made solely to be played on MTV.
Yeah.
And isn't that track just, I mean, Alan, the playlist track is obvious. We're going Money for Nothing.
I think
Although-
Anyone
Yeah,
who says anything else should be shot. They should just be taken out back.
As much as I
And
love Money
shot.
for Nothing, and you're totally right.
Anthony, you're
I
so
really
violent
liked-
this week.
I know.
I really
Yeah.
liked the well, we live in violent times. I really like You're So Far Away From Me. I just thought that was such
I
a
love
far.
that song.
I just thought that was like, this is when you knew you were.
I love that
You're-
song. Yes. That's
Yeah,
a great
it's
song.
like this is like the total
I
opposite
just-
of Money for Nothing, and they're both on the same record. It's like this guy's a virtuoso,
And
right?
Walk
I mean,
of
this is-
Life
this-
is good too.
thi-
I love that song.
Yeah.
Except the video ruined it.
Walk of Life video.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
because instead of doing a conventional video, they put all football players. It's like, who the fuck's gonna watch this,
Yeah.
right?
Bad idea.
Like-
well, but here's the thing, right? It's 1985. You're calling on Sting to do fucking backing vocals. Who the fuck does that? Like, seriously, you are doing incredibly if you're calling on Sting to show up and go, I want my, I want my, I want my MTV. Fuck me. Not literally. Please don't.
Is it
If
fight
you're
me?
listening.
Fuck me. I don't know. You want both.
In this case, I mean, you can fight me. Please don't try and fuck me. That there is going to be someone who will fight you if you try and fuck me.
All right.
All
Boy,
right.
Like,
this
get
episode
outta
has
here.
gotten weird. Jesus. I will say,
It's
But that-
the title track to that album just blows me away. It's so amazing.
It is so good. That I like that. That is my favorite. Like the first and the last tracks are my favorite on that
Yeah.
record.
yeah, it's and that was for me. That was a gateway to like a lot of stuff I would not normally listen to, like guitar based stuff.
Yeah,
That was a
he's
huge
amazing
entryway for me.
player. Yeah.
I mean, and Alan was surprised when I said this. Probably, I don't know, Alan. When did we do a podcast on greatest guitar players? We did one at
That
one
was-
point.
Yeah. It was sometime last
I-
year.
I mentioned Knopfler, and you were surprised that he was a player I would mention.
Yeah.
yeah,
But good lord, the way he tackles that guitar. He doesn't use a fucking plectrum. He just goes for it, and he's finger style.
Yeah.
Good Lord. He
Right.
is so good.
Yeah, he's
So good.
amazing. And the thing that's great about that is, like, at the time, everybody that I kind of know is listening to like punk or new wave records. And I'm listening to this. I'm like, this is not a punk or a new wave record, but this is fucking great. And I caught hell for loving that record, but man, it's great.
Speaking of great guitar players, I've got one that Stephanie, I expected to be on you when we shared our list with each other, what we wanted to talk about. I don't remember seeing this on your list, and it surprised me, but that's U2.
I didn't.
And of course, I'm being facetious about great guitar players. They have an EP that year called Wide Awake in America, which is 4 songs. It's 2 live tracks and 2 new songs. And this was really the thing that kind of sucked me into the U2 world. Those new tracks, I absolutely love. 3 Sunrises. And there's the second song on there is called Love Comes Tumbling, which is really good, but it's not as good as 3 Sunrises. But the first 2 tracks, the live ones, that version of Bad is so incredible. And that I love that song anyway, but of all the different live versions of Bad that I've heard, that one is my favorite. And then the other one is A Sort of Homecoming, which is like my is a slightly different arrangement than what's on the album, because the album is basically the full band all the way through. And this live version, it starts out really, really quietly. And then it builds and the drums come in and the bass comes in, and it's so different. And it has such a different dynamic to it than what the original recording of it does, that I think changes that song drastically. Yes. And it is by far my favorite track, my favorite U2 track.
Yeah, that's like my favorite. Well, either between One Tree Hill and Sort of Homecoming. I don't think I could pick, but it's such a great song. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think you like 3 Sunrises better than Love Comes Tumbling because Daniel Lanois co-wrote that song.
That's true. And he also produced it.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
My boy.
That's right.
All right. So can I have one? I'm going to say one that I know, Alan, is on your list. And okay. I did pick it, and you picked it too, I'm sure. Heart, which is their self-titled album, which we've talked ad nauseum about this album before, but I mean, it was so huge for this band, right? I mean, it was really just like comeback of comebacks for them.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were particularly thrilled with this album in general because they didn't write a lot of the songs on it. I mean, maybe half, maybe less.
Yeah. And that was dictated to them by the record label.
Yeah. And so was their clothing in a way and their style.
That's right.
But they blasted out many singles from this album, and I thought they were all great. I think These Dreams might be my favorite, and that was written by Bernie Taupin and what is his name? Martin Page. Thank you.
Okay, everybody take a shot, because I'm going to mention that I used to be in a Heart tribute band.
Yay!
And
wait, what?
Right, I know.
Are you sure? Have you miscounted, Alan?
Oh my gosh. But we used to play quite a bit of this album, and we talked about at some point doing a show where we played the whole album top to bottom, and we never got around to doing that, but we played at least half of it.
Awesome.
You know, the songs are great. And I will say, at the time when that album came out, I really didn't take to it right away, because I was so used to a Heart album means it's all written by Ann and Nancy with band members, or Ann and Nancy and their best friend Sue Ennis, and it was all in-house.
Yeah.
And I just resented the fact that they had kind of been forced into the situation of doing outside songs. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Then the 5 that they wrote are going to be my favorite songs from the album. And they still kind of are. I mean, What About Love is a great song and everything, but, you know, it's not as good as, you know, some of the ones like Shell Shock. Holy shit, is that a good song? And The Wolf is so great.
Yeah, the songs that they wrote were great on this album. So, I mean, the whole thing is really awesome. It's interesting that they didn't have a single that they wrote, you know? That's just odd.
Yeah, they got a co-write on Never.
Oh, really? Oh,
but I think that might be because it was a pre-existing song, and they changed it enough, or like rewrote lyrics or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is this right before Bad Animals, this album?
Yeah.
I think
Bad Animals was 87. Yeah.
yeah, okay. This it kind of seems like Bad Animals was sort of like a pushback on this album,
Mm.
to me at least. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I did see them 2 or
Smoosh.
3 times on this tour, and man, they were just on fire. They were great on this tour.
Oh yeah, their voices were just sick on this album. I mean, if looks could kill, whoa, the vocals on that
Yeah.
are great.
Yep. That's one of the ones that my band used to play.
Awesome.
That's a fun one to play.
Not related to this year, but when someone says if looks could kill, my brain goes, they probably will in Games Without Frontiers.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Wars Without Fears.
That's funny.
God damn you, Stephanie. You triggered
That's
my
funny.
ADHD.
That's okay. That's all right. I can see how that would lead right into those lyrics. Yes.
Can I take us to a heavy metal domain?
Yeah. This is on the way to a heavy metal domain. So yes, it goes right.
So the
Well.
first half of 1985 saw the release of Megadeth's Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. And Megadeth, of course, is Dave Mustaine's vanity project after he was cast out of Metallica for being a dick.
Right.
Sorry, Dave, please don't sue me. But actually, that rage led to some really good music.
Mm.
That album starts with Last Rites Love to Death, which in itself is it starts with a interpretation of Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor, and then it goes heavy. And that album is just all over the place. It's not even probably. It is not Megadeth's best album.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form, but it is the start of so much of what is to come. I mean, from there we get Peace Sells and Who's Buying. We get, oh god, what was that really iconic one with the Holy Wars, the Punishment Due? We get that album, but this is the start of it, and it's all because Dave Mustaine is mad because he got kicked out of Metallica. Isn't it amazing just what being pissed can do to someone? Mechanics, which I actually think is the highlight of the album, it's the final track, at least on the original version. And it is a Metallica track taken and sped up. So the track on the Metallica version ended up being The Four Horsemen, which is kind of a slow song by Metallica standards. But the Mechanics takes a 7-minute track and condenses it down into about 4 minutes. They speed it up. They're angry. It's all about taking your car in to the dealer and basically getting banged while doing it because fuck you, I'm Dave Mustaine and I'm horny as hell. But it's fun. It's really fun. It's sleazy and it's fun, and I just don't care. That album is just an album of sheer anger and hatred at being kicked out of a band that leads to something so much bigger when you get Rust in Peace. That's the album. When you get into Peace Sells and Rust in Peace and Euthanasia and those other iconic Megadeth albums. But in the meantime, you get this, and it's the stepping stone. And it's not great, but it's still kind of iconic.
Yeah.
I'll just
there's a
honorable
lot.
mention a couple. I'll just say them without kind of describing whatever. But Run-D.M.C, King of Rock. I think King of Rock is my favorite song on the album, so maybe you can throw that on the playlist. And also the Power Station, I think, kind of warrants a mention. Was their debut. Well, they don't have that many records out, but it was pretty huge for them. I mean, Some Like It Hot was a great song, and their cover of Get It On, Bang a Gong, was really good too. So I think I loved it just because, John and Andy Taylor were in the band, but I was a Durrani, so.
I will say that Run-D.M.C album is great. And
Yes.
my favorite track on it is the first track, Rock the House.
Rock the House.
Because it's got a cool beat to it, but the rap is very, very minimal. And it relies on that sort of echo loop that they do that feeds into the rhythm of the song. It's so cool. I've not heard another rap song quite like it.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
But that whole album is great. You Talk Too Much has got the funniest lyrics.
You
Roots
never
rap and
should.
reggae is so great. I just really love that album.
Yeah. Awesome record.
And King of Rock is still
Totally.
God, it's like amazing.
I know.
100%.
We all ran to the Limited to buy our parachute pants when that one came out.
The other obvious one from the first half of 1985 is No Jacket Required by Phil Collins.
Mm.
You know, it's a studio classic. Ultimately, unfortunately, he did a lot of damage to his name with Live Aid. I don't blame him, but a lot of others did. We talked last episode about Led Zeppelin and how they blamed Phil Collins for their atrocious performance. Quite what Phil did to down-tune Jimmy Page's guitar, I don't know. But apparently he did.
Yeah.
You know, he played with Eric Clapton at the same show. That was all part of that tour, fundamentally. And it was a good album.
I have to say, Pseudo is definitely a guilty pleasure of mine.
There's no guilt on it. I fucking love
It's a great
Sussudio.
track. It's a great track.
So May of that year, you get New Order's Low Life, which gives us Love Vigilantes, which is, later recorded by Frente and tons of other people. Never a single, but probably one of their most popular records. Perfect Kiss, the video is directed by Jonathan Demme, which starts a whole collaboration with Jonathan Demme. This is the record that kind of got them a little bit of a footing in America. It also is the album that caught the attention of this guy named John Hughes, who would use them a lot too. And it really positions them to be big, but it's got like some really cool stuff on it, like Alicia, which is this like kind of quietly sublime instrumental track. It's got Face Up, which is one of the best breakup songs ever on it, and Subculture's on it as well. It's a banger. And Peter Saville for the record used photographs instead of physical art for the album cover, which was kind of a departure. And then June is a beast. I don't know if you guys have looked at June of '85, but it starts with Aha's Hunting High or Low, where everyone loves Take On Me, but The Sun Always Shines on TV is just brilliant. And it's a great, great record from them. 40 years later, it still holds up pretty well. I was listening to it this week. You get Brian Ferry with Boys and Girls, which is probably his big breakout record. And the minute I saw Brian Ferry, I said, well, I know I can't be David Bowie. Maybe I want to be Brian Ferry because that guy's really smooth. And Slave to Love is like fantastic, right? And Sensations on it's great.
I mean, if Bowie had never shown up, Ferry would have been the guy from the glam rock era.
Yeah. You've also got Little Creatures from Talking Heads, which is fantastic. Some people might say it's their last great record, but As She Was and Road to Nowhere. And it's just that record, sort of the artwork and everything on it too, is just kind of goofy and weird. I played the holy hell out of OMD Crush on my Walkman. Kids, ask your parents. The covers, they nicked the idea of a Edward Hopper painting for the cover, and they really pushed this to be a big record in America. They used non-synthesizer album music for the first time. 88 Seconds in Greensboro is amazing. It's not, they did it all in one take. But then you've got So in Love and you've got Secret, which are really great. Secret was doing really, really well. It's getting a lot of buzz going. And then A&M Records pulled it because they wanted to release If You Leave from the Pretty in Pink soundtrack to push the band over. But this is the record that kind of really got OMD launched in America. We talked about them earlier. Sting's Dream of the Blue Turtles. Russians is amazing. Whoever thought when we played that record that 40 years later we'd be circling back to Russians again? But that's really good. I mean, some of the songs on it, like Love is the Seventh Wave, is maybe one of the catchiest songs of that year.
Yeah, it's so good.
Also, completely taking this in a different direction, Dare to Be Stupid by Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, God.
Right? This is the year that Weird Al was all over MTV, just as everybody was taking themselves seriously. Along comes Weird Al with Like a Surgeon and just all the other stuff on that record, and made us all laugh.
Jesus Christ, Rob, I was about to sing Russians and you brought us to Weird Al, and now I feel like I can't.
Well, that's okay.
There was going to be more singing on this show.
We haven't had Anthony singing in a while.
I think the last time was when I sang She Drives Me Crazy.
I think so, yeah.
But Steph will remember this as well. But we are, and probably Alan too, we are of a generation, Steph, where we just thought that Bitchin' Camaro at one point was the coolest record ever made. Do you remember that?
No.
My mom's got a bitchin' Camaro.
Bitchin' Camaro, Bitchin' Camaro. I ran over my neighbor. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, and you felt like really dirty listening to Big Lizard in My Backyard because it was like naughty, and they've got the Charles Nelson Riley orgy song on there, and they've got like all this crazy, like, what the fuck is this stuff? And it's great. It's like the laugh at yourself punk record of the year. And also you get 2 great punk records in '85. You get an album from Minor Threat, and you get Black Flag as well with Loose Nut, which is Rollins is in just amazing form on that record. So that closes out June for me.
All right. So some of the ones that I didn't get a chance to mention, we have Till Tuesday's debut album, Voices Carry, which is a really good album and got some great bass playing on it, which we're going to talk about in an upcoming show. We have Mr. Misters, Welcome to the Real World, which had a bunch of big hits on that. And I love that. But Katrina and the Waves. Now, this is a weird one, but this is their 3rd album, and it's their self-titled album. They had 2 previous albums that were sort of indie releases, and this album is basically the best of those 2. And they did remixes on all the tracks, but they did a complete re-record of Going Down to Liverpool and Walking on Sunshine, the 2 big singles from it. And the Bangles redid, they did a cover of Going Down to Liverpool, and their cover is almost identical to the original Katrina version, but when they re-recorded it, they changed it for this album. And the voice is spectacular on this album.
Yeah, her voice is really great, isn't it? You know?
Oh my gosh.
It's something that I didn't think about at the time, I think, but when I listened to it again, I was just like, wow, she had a voice, a really big voice.
In Europe and America, there's a growing feeling of hysteria. Sorry, I had to do that in a Russian accent.
The interesting thing about the Katrina and the Waves record, too, is you got Kimberly Rue from the Soft Boys on it, which that sort of like was my introduction to Katrina and the Waves. I'm like, wait a minute, Kimberly Rue's on it. I'm going to check this out. And
he's going to come up again in the second half of this year.
Oh, well, there you go. See, I was sowing the seeds.
All right. So join us again in 1 week when we talk about the second half of 1985. And don't forget to go and listen to the Spotify playlist where you're going to get the sampling of everything that we talked about on this show. Until next week, Stephanie, where can people find more about you?
Stephanie Seymour. Okay, let's try it again.
Still can't do it.
I know. You can find me on Facebook under Stephanie Seymour Music. You can find me on Instagram at there_r_birds. You can find me at a website called therearebirds.com. And you can find me on Bandcamp and Spotify and all these places under my name.
Groovy. Anthony, go.
Don't go listen to me. Go listen to Stephanie.
Okay. Is that it?
Thanks, Anthony.
You can hear me on the Watchers in the Fourth Dimension podcast, where we are watching our way through all of Doctor Who from start to finish. We are currently in the 5th Doctor era, Peter Davison. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, etc., wherever you like to listen to your podcast, including wherever you're listening to this one. So please do check us out. Also, you can follow me personally on Instagram at Englishman in ATL.
All right, Rob, hit it. Be quick.
You can find me on Insta and the Facebook under my name. Mondays, you get the double the misery. It's like your 2 shots of Paregoric when you were a kid back in 1985. You get Antics, my show on Louder Than More Radio at 6 to 8 Greenwich Mean Time, 12 to 2 Central, 1 to 3 Eastern. That's out of Manchester. And then that evening, 5 to 7 Eastern Time, or Central Time, 6 to 8 Eastern, is the Free Design on the Face Radio out of Brooklyn. And then every other Saturday, well, it's on every Saturday, but there's a new show every other Saturday on Eardrum Buzz Radio out of Los Angeles. That show's called The Comfort of Madness. And more news later on show number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Konnichiwa.
And you can find more about me at cosmiccreative.com, KOZMIC creative.com. All right. That's it for us this week. Everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you next time about the second half of the year 1985. Keep rocking on.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.